Welcome to another Ask Bodhi, our third Thursday of the month. So we missed our third Thursday last month. Unfortunately, in the new year, the clinic was just absolutely hammered with patients. But I wanted to make sure that I jumped on tonight to give a little talk what we missed last month, which I wanted to talk to you guys about fasting. Now, nutrition can be a tough subject to entertain. Changing your diet for sure, changing the composition of what you eat can be a tough pill to swallow, literally. But understanding not only what to eat, but when to eat or when not to eat, is a tough one. So I've been using fasting for a very long time. I've been using it both personally myself, and I've been using it with patients and clients over the years with wonderful success. But there is a lot to know when it comes to fasting, and fasting now has become quite popular now, being called intermittent fasting. Always was just known as fasting. But so I wanted to go through some of the do's and don'ts and some important information if you're looking to entertain or you're entertaining incorporating fasting into your fitness and health regime or just into your life. So there are some things to understand. It's not just about just not eating. Fasting and starving are not the same thing. Okay, so let's start from my perspective. So I've used fasting for a long time for healing, as you all know. If you don't, I've been a martial artist my whole life. 40 years I've been training in kung fu, and so as a martial artist, you get hurt all the time. And I have used fasting in the past, short-term fasting, to heal myself when I got injured. I've had times when somebody's popped my elbow, and I'll use a 24-hour fast, a 24-hour water fast, to heal my body because of the incredible recuperative processes that happen when you fast when you're not eating. It makes a massive difference. And in a 24-hour fast, literally, like I got my elbow popped, and 24 hours later, it was literally 90% better. The healing is really quite amazing. And a lot of this has to do with what happens in your body when you're not processing food. So, I wanted to explain a little bit about fasting to you guys and nutrition today. And once again, if you guys have questions, please ask. The comments there, you can always ask a question, and then this video will be here for you whenever you need. You can always DM me if you have any specific questions. But so to start with, when we look at when we eat, now, when we eat anything, and it doesn't matter what we eat, anytime we eat anything, our body secretes what's called insulin, our pancreas specifically. And insulin is a storage hormone. It helps our body to shuttle sugar into where it needs to go, into the cells, and stores it for later usage. And basically, from the time we eat, and no matter what we ate, whether we ate something very sugary or whether we ate something high in protein or high fat, it doesn't really matter because anything you eat causes your body to have an insulin spike. Um, and then every hour after you ate, your insulin slowly starts to drop. And as insulin slowly starts to drop, its opposite hormone called glucagon, a utilization hormone, starts to increase. Now, this typically happens also if you think about kind of dinner time is an easy way to kind of understand this if you're looking at that clock. So if you say you have dinner at 7 o'clock, so you have dinner at 7 o'clock and you get a big spike in your insulin, blood sugar goes up, body stores all the food, whatever you ate. Some goes to your brain, some goes to your muscles, some goes to your liver, the rest gets stored as fat, basically. And so over the next 12 hours, your insulin is slowly going to go down, and your glucagon is going to slowly start to rise as that goes down. Now, depending on what you ate for dinner is going to dictate when your body, specifically your liver, runs out of that storage form of sugar, glycogen. And that's where this very important healing process starts to kick in. So, for example, if you were like me tonight for dinner, I had what I typically have on a day that I fast, like today, where I had 3 cups of broccoli, I had three, maybe four chicken thighs, some onion, a whole lot of olive oil, slathered all in olive oil, which is about 1,700 calories. And then little bit later, I'll have a cup of pecans with another sort of 700 calories. So I usually go in on a fasting day between 22 to 2,500 calories. Is kind of where I sit at. Just making sure that I cover all the bases, get enough protein, get enough calories in my diet. But a fasting day for me is not an anabolic day. It's not a day that I'm trying to build. It's a catabolic day where I'm letting my body eat itself, what's called autophagy, where the body is cleaning itself out and healing itself. So 4 days a week, I do this process to keep myself young, to keep myself healthy, and to keep my body functioning optimally. So, if you had a dinner like me, where you just had basically fibers, carbohydrates, veggies that grew above ground, and some proteins and fats, you're going to basically store about 12 hours of glycogen in your liver. So, if we ate dinner at 7 o'clock, all the way down to 7 a.m., hey, bud, come on up. My boy's here for a appearance. By 7 a.m., your liver will be out of a glycogen. And what starts to happen at that point when your liver runs out of sugar, your body makes a metabolic shift from a glucose-based environment to a fat-based environment, what's called a ketogenic environment, where your body's running on fats. Um, and so when that happens, your body starts to basically break down fatty acids into ketone bodies that it uses for energy. And this is actually a really, really, really clean source of energy. Your brain runs much better on ketones than it actually does on glycogen. And because we all have extra fat in our body that can burn off, we always have this steady source of energy. So we never get that hangry, low blood sugar kind of feeling that you get when you're constantly eating a carbohydrate or a glucose-based diet where your blood sugar is going up and down. Because once again, every time you eat, your insulin is going to shuttle that blood sugar out of the bloodstream, because if there's too much blood sugar in the bloodstream, it can't be too good. So we got to shuttle some of that into the storage form. And so you always have this process where your blood sugar is going up and down, up and down, up and down. And so your energy is going to be going up and down, up and down, up and down. But in a ketogenic state, in a fat-based state, this actually doesn't happen, because you have this steady stream of ketone bodies always in the bloodstream. So you have this regular energy that you always have, and you actually feel really, really, really wonderful. And it's not at this state that the body starts this healing process. It does take quite a few hours for the what's called autophagy, which we're going to get into, starts to kick in. But at the 12-hour mark from the point that you ate that 1 cup of protein and 3 cups of veggies, your body does shift into this fat burning zone for the average person who's eating a nice clean diet like I just described. Now, that's only going to happen if the last meal that you ate was a clean meal and the whole day really was a clean meal, because we can store up to about 36 hours of sugar, of glycogen. So for the average person, and this is where it becomes important when we talk about fasting, because a lot of people are getting into fasting now, and a lot of people kind of go, well, I can fast all day and eat garbage, or I can eat garbage and then fast, kind of thing. And it really doesn't work that way, because you're never really running out of sugar. Because if you had bagel for breakfast and you had a piece of pizza for lunch and you had pasta for dinner, you are not running out of that glycogen by 12 hours. It's going to take you several days to burn through all that sugar. So you're never actually really getting the benefits of fasting that we're going to talk about. All you're doing is getting yourself into a place of low blood sugar. So always having these big spikes and values in your blood sugar is where we start to create problems in our body, and we literally don't want to get to that point where we get to the point where we have type 2 diabetes, where we're not in control of the insulin production anymore, and we can't regulate our blood sugar anymore. So it is important when we look at adding fasting to our fitness or our health regime, that we want to also look at the composition of the meals we're eating around fasting. So If you're doing fasting once in a while, yeah, not such a big deal. But if you're going to use fasting on a regular basis, yeah, it's very, very important. And so what I always recommend for people is that you want to prepare for the fast going into the fast and prepare what you're going to do coming out of the fast, because that's really your most important. And if you're going to use fasting, you always want to kind of meal prep to go into your fast. As I said, if you're regular eating a lot of grains, if you're eating wheat, dairy, and corn and soy, if you're eating these things on a regular basis, your body's going to store a lot of glycogen, and it's going to take you quite a long fast. You might have to fast for 2 or 3 days before you got it into ketosis. Um, so if you were thinking about using fasting, I would say spend a couple days cleaning up your diet before you start your fast, so that you said, okay, I'm going to spend 2 or 3 days where I'm going to switch my carbohydrate intake, where I'm still going to eat carbohydrates, but I'm going to switch it from starchy carbs, polychain saccharides, all the grains, to mono or disaccharides, fruits and vegetables, that are going to burn through you quite quickly, and they're not going to stay so long in you. And that way, you're going to be able to burn through them in that fast, so that by the time that 12-hour mark hits, your body shifts into ketosis and you actually can start some of that healing process. So once your body does, if your diet was clean enough that, yes, you did shift in at that 12-hour mark, once you're in ketosis, your body, basically, adult male, basically it's about 80 to 100 calories that your body is using in a fasted state, about 60 to 80 calories for adult women in a fasted state. And over the next few hours after that 12-hour mark, so when you get 13, 14, 15 hours, certain things start to shift. And that's where a lot of people are using what's called a 16-8, 16-hour fast, 8-hour feeding window. And it's between 16 and 18 hours that some really interesting metabolic changes start to happen. And we are seeing the highest proportion of what's called autophagy, or cellular healing, kicks in. Now, that can actually start as early as 12 hours, but we really see a peak in that about 17 hours. So between that 16 to 18-hour window is where I typically shoot for patients and people that I'm working with, to try to fast that long. So you're basically from dinner to breakfast would be your 12-hour window, from 7 to 7. And then we're going to try to add in at least another 4 hours before we have our first meal. So basically, you're just pushing breakfast to 11, 12 o'clock kind of thing. And so that would be a good place to start if you're looking to incorporate fasting into your life. Now, when your body starts to shift this metabolic process, and your body turns on what's called autophagy, this is what's called autophagy, or self-eating. Basically, what you're doing is you're turning on your own self-healing, self-cleaning oven. And our body has this amazing ability to scour itself internally for broken cells, disease cells, viruses, fungus, bacteria, anything that should not be there, anything that's not functioning optimally. Your body will find it, lyse it, cut it up, and eat it, and break it down. And so what happens if we said, for example, your immune system was compromised, if you had a poor immune system, that your immune cells, your white blood cells, weren't functioning, weren't formed properly, weren't doing their job properly, your body would go and then start breaking down your immune system, breaking down those disease or broken cells. This might sound bad. Oh my God, well, I need my immune system. But that's only part of the process, because while you're in the fasted state, yes, your body is cleaning out all the garbage. So if that means it's cells that are replicating out of control, those could be cancer cells. Those could be things that are autoimmune cells that are happening. That could be eczema or psoriasis. It could be damage in your brain. It could be damage anywhere. It could be damage in the digestive tract. Your body starts to go clean that stuff out. So there's going to be a depletion in whatever cell grouping that was cleaned out. Now, the magic happens when you actually eat, when you what's called refeeding. So at 17, 18 hours now, you have your first meal. And once again, out of a fast, once you fast what happens is your cortisol, your stress hormone rises the longer you are in a fasted state. And so at that point, when your cortisol rises, your body is looking to store anything you put in it. So your first meal out of a fast is just as important as your last meal going into the fast, because your body's looking to store. So if you break your fast with pizza, it's not gonna it's not gonna be, you're just gonna replenish those glycogen stores big time, and you're gonna be back to that up and down thing. So what you want to be doing is, you want to be making sure that you get some protein, because your body's going to need amino acids so that that can keep you anabolic and build tissue. But you also want some vitamins and some minerals. So that's where plant material is super important. So I always recommend for patients, last meal before a fast, first meal after a fast, protein and veggies, in and out. In and out is protein and veggies. Yes, if it's a longer term fast, that has different rules. And I'm talking about short fasts that are longer than 48 hours. Once you go to 72 hours or longer, then you need to actually do a slow refeed, where you would start with just broth, and then you would go to vegetable juice, and you would slowly bring it back in. But I'm talking, for these purposes, I'm talking about short-term fast, shorter than a day or two. And that kind of fasting regime, you can go back in just by having veggies first, a little bit of protein, and then your next meal you can go back to whatever you want to eat. But like I said, the first meal out of your fast, really, really important to get the veggies in first, and then the protein. Now, so for either side of your fast, we're going to have those healthy meals, and in between, we're going to have the cleanup phase. So when you do refeed, something really interesting happens. Your body, as soon as you start to refeed, your body has this huge production, or it stimulates this huge production of what are called stem cells. And this is the magic. So stem cells are undifferentiated cells. These are cells that can become anything. They're blueprint cells. So if it was, for example, it was your immune system, your white blood cells that were dysfunctional or misshapen or weren't working well, that the body went in and lysed them and got rid of and cleaned up all those white blood cells, your body's going to say, okay, let's turn stem cells into white blood cells, and that's going to build some white blood cells. Or if maybe there was damage to my elbow, there was a problem. Or if there was damage to my brain, or if there was damage to my skin, or whatever that damage was, the body is going to stimulate stem cells. Those stem cells are going to be turned into whatever it needs to be. And this is where healing is so incredible. So the production of that glucagon that starts to rise, and the other hormone, which is growth hormone, is the other guy that gets produced as your blood sugar and your insulin go down and your glucagon goes up. The other guy is growth hormone. And so between glucagon and growth hormone, these are your fountain of youth. These are the guys who utilize things, allow you to build tissue, allow you to regenerate your body. And then, of course, the autophagy is icing on the cake. So you're creating both a beneficial hormonal environment and a beneficial environment on the cellular level, where your body is actually healing itself and cleaning itself up. And all of this has the amazing effect of dropping inflammation, or reducing inflammation in the body massively. And one more way that the body helps to heal itself is by reducing chronic or system-wide inflammation. Remember, acute inflammation is how we actually heal, where the body sends blood and oxygen to an area, but chronic inflammation is what creates damage and degeneration in our body. So like so many of the Eastern modalities that we use, whether we're talking about acupuncture, whether we're talking about Qigong, these are modalities to shift you out of sympathetic, fight or flight, and shift you back into parasympathetic, rest, digest, heal. These are all modalities to help your body to heal itself. And when it comes to growth hormone, when we're talking to autophagy, these are all ways that the body has, or the ability the body has, the powers the body has to heal itself, to replicate, to replenish things that are broken, things that aren't working properly, and replace those guys. So how often do you need to do this? Well, that's really up to you. Now, fasting, short-term fast can be used as often as you like. However, I will put sort of a caveat to that, is that fasting, short-term fasting every day. Like some people use what's called OMAD or 2MAD, where they fast all day for 22, 23, 24 hours, and then they just have that one or two meal at the end of the day and get all their calories in that. And from a thermic effect, there's no difference when it comes to metabolism. It's not going to slow your metabolism down. It's whether you have 2,000 calories in 2 meals or 2,000 calories in 6 meals, there's really no difference when it comes to your metabolism, as long as you just take the calories in. However, we want to make sure that we're getting enough calories, and to get enough calories is really hard to process those in 1 or 2 meals. So we're typically going to have a calorie deficit on those days. And so trying to get 10,000 calories in 2 meals is very unlikely that you're going to actually assimilate all that stuff. It's really impossible. So for me, example, I fast Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and then Wednesdays and Saturdays. We call these mTOR days or anabolic days, where I have several meals throughout the day where I'll up my calories and up my protein. And these are my anabolic days where I'm looking to build tissue. So we do 4 catabolic days, 2 anabolic days. And then the Sunday is kind of a relaxed day where I don't fast. I just eat clean, but I'm not upping my calories. I'm just having a normal eating day. So, and that way I can keep my body super healthy, super young, and at 50 feel fantastic, almost 50, feel fantastic every day. And if I do get injured, I heal super, super quick. And as you all know, I never get sick. When you're looking to start with fasting, or if you want to start with fasting, you always start with baby steps. So you would first make sure that your body is in a place that it can fast. So if you have diabetes, if you have low blood sugar or low blood pressure, if you have any other metabolic disorders, then obviously you're going to check with your health care practitioner, whoever takes care of you first. But if everything's, all things being equal, and you have at sort of average health, the first thing I would do is make sure for a couple days that you prep yourself to go into your fast. And I would really take at least 2 days to prep into your first fast, meaning that, stick with your 3 meals a day or whatever meals you eat in a day. And what I would do is I would just take your grains out. So that's wheat, dairy, corn, soy. Dairy, I just say because it's a sugar, but wheat, corn, and soy for sure. Remove those guys, and up your veggies and up your fat intake. And those will be good fats like avocado or olives, olive oil, that kind of jazz, seeds, nuts. So you take the complex carbohydrates down and you up your fats a little bit so that you encourage your body or get your body closer to a ketogenic state. And for a couple days, do that. And then you can do your first fast. And once again, starting slowly, I wouldn't push your breakfast for more than 4 hours. I do not advise dry fast. Always, I really recommend doing water fast. So that means during that time that you're fasting, whether it's 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, definitely try to get water in, at least a few cups of water. I typically take in a good liter at least. Now, remember, I fast up to 20 hours, 4 days a week. So my dinner is usually at 7 o'clock, and then I will fast all the way around, typically till around 4 o'clock, where I'll probably have a snack at that time, if not pushing it all the way till 6, 7 o'clock at night. If I fast all the way till 7, I'll have dinner at 7, and then I'll have another meal between 8 and 9 o'clock. So I'm eating within a sort of 2 to 4 hour window typically on my fasting days. Do not start with that. That is not a place to start. I've been fasting a long time. So out of the gate, starting with 14, 15, even 16 hours is totally doable. You can have a cup of coffee in the morning, a black cup of coffee in the morning. Coffee is not going to take you out of ketosis. It's not going to spike your blood sugar. There's been numerous tests done that doesn't spike your insulin at all. Now, if you're going to fill it full of sugar and fill it, have a latte, yes, it's going to. But even a splash of milk or a stevia in your coffee, still, it's not going to take you out of ketosis. And so it's not going to take you out of that fasted state. So yeah, you can have black coffee, you can have a green tea, or definitely some hot water with lemon would be great things to have throughout the morning. Make sure you drink water, even if you have a coffee. Coffee is great because it does blunt your appetite. It does allow you to fast a little bit longer. But you do want to make sure that you drink some water in that morning. Now, if you are doing a little bit of a longer fast, if you're pushing it 18, 19, 20 hours kind of thing, electrolytes or mineral salts are really, really important. So using just a pinch of pink Himalayan salt in your water. Just once is more than enough. You don't have to do it throughout the day, but just once is more than enough. Just to make sure your electrolytes stay balanced, because electrolyte imbalance is something that can happen when you're fasting, especially if you're fasting a little bit longer. But for the short-term fast that we're talking about, not such a big deal, but it's just sort of going to cover your bases to make sure you're safe. So the big things, like I said, I wanted to touch on were basically the meal going into your fast. With, like I said, if you've never fasted before, I would prep a couple days, veggies and protein with your meals. If you have fasted before and you're eating pretty clean, I would just make sure that the day before, or especially the last meal, is protein and veggie. And remember, all healthy meals, like a perfect meal, should be 1/4 protein, 3/4 vegetables. That's what a healthy plate should look like. And these are all veggies that grow above ground: dark green, leafy, bright colored, the reds, the yellows, the greens, all that kind of stuff, not the root vegetables that grow below ground. And then once again, after the fast, first meal, once again, protein and veggies, because your body's looking to store it. So you want to give it vitamins, minerals, and some protein at that point. So those are the basic rules to follow that will keep you safe if you're going to do fasting. And once again, it's a big change. So start with baby steps. You push it an hour or two. If you get up in the morning and you're hangry, that's usually because your blood sugar is low. But what's neat is that when you actually eat clean, or you get regularly using a ketogenic type lifestyle, you don't have that hangriness, and you're very clear mentally. And it's one of the most amazing things from following a high plant-based ketogenic diet. And we're not talking about the old school live on sausage and bacon all day. This is not healthy. This is not okay. The fact is, if your plate, like we described it, was 1/4 protein, or 1/4 animal protein, and 3/4 veggies, the vast majority of the calories would be coming from that animal protein. And animal sources are actually more fat than protein by calorie. Red meat, almost 80% of the calories are coming from fats. Chicken is like 60% 60% from fat. Fish is almost 70%. So it's more fat than protein. It's fat with a little bit of protein wrapped around it. So majority of your calories in that plate are actually going to be coming from fats. So it's very, very clean way to eat. So even though you're eating a lot of vegetables, majority of your calories of it actually come from the fats. So that's where we get a high plant-based ketogenic diet. I use this with cancer patients. I use this with any kind of autoimmune disease. I use this with ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression. Especially, I use this for concussion patients. Incredible effect with the concussion patients. And also for my fertility patients. So it is a a nutrition package that I give to all my patients, because it's a basic remedy that you can use to help your healing, because the body works best when the inflammation is low in the body. And we are designed for lots of mono and disaccharide, fruit, vegetable, about 2.5 fistfuls of protein a day, and a whole bunch of fats. There's no such thing as essential carbohydrates. There are essential fatty acids, there are essential amino acids, essential vitamins, essential minerals. So once we cover those, then we have the plant-based material. That's where all our fiber and all our bacterial life, all our complement of bacteria is important. That's where we get that stuff from. So that's basically the gist. So benefits of fasting, definitely turning back the clock, definitely helping the body heal, definitely healing the gut. Big time. And once again, you don't have to go for days fasting. You don't have to go for weeks fasting. And that is a whole other thing. There's actually a wonderful book that I recommend. There's a Toronto doctor named Dr. Jason Fung, Fung. He wrote The Complete Guide to Fasting. Really wonderful book. Wonderful. A layman guide to get into fasting if you're looking to get some more information on that. But as always, I'm always here if you have any questions. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you guys learned a little bit. Always share it with any friends or family that you need. And as always, I'm here to answer any questions you may have. You can check this video. It will always be in the member section. And make sure you don't miss our first Saturday of the month. Always, we do our live class every first Saturday at 9 a.m. Thanks so much, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you